The neural trap. Why beliefs feel immortal. Beliefs aren't just sentences in your head. They're reinforced prediction loops. Your brain loves conserving energy, so it builds defaults. When X happens, do Y. That's great for tying shoes, terrible for I always screw up. Over time, the loop gets faster, stronger, and quieter. It stops asking, is this still true? And starts acting like it is. That's why willpower feels useless. You're arguing with a reflex. Here's the trap. You're trying to outtalk a circuit. The thing most people miss is that thoughts ride on circuits. You can repeat a positive mantra all day, but if your behavior keeps feeding the old loop, the nervous system believes the behavior. Circuits don't care about your vibe. They care about evidence. What fires together, wires together, and what fires faster wins. Now, why does this get worse with age? Early in life, plasticity is sky high. Neuroscientists call these critical periods, windows when the brain is wide open to shaping. As we mature, the system adds brakes to prevent runaway change. Two buckets matter: homeostatic control and molecular brakes. Homeostatic control balances excitation and inhibition, your brain's traction control, so learning doesn't tip into chaos. Molecular brakes include perineuronal nets, mesh-like scaffolds around fast-spiking inhibitory neurons that stabilize synapses, and epigenetic closures, chemical tags on DNA/histones, that make certain genes less available for remodeling. The point isn't that adults can't change, it's that the door is heavier, and you need the handle. Here's where it gets interesting. Under the right conditions, adults can reopen a plasticity window, temporarily. Intense immersion, novelty, emotional salience, and focused attention can lift those brakes just enough to let new wiring form. That's great news, unless you open the window and train the wrong thing. Unfocused, low-stakes practice often creates brittle, task-specific gains that don't generalize. Worse, you can accidentally strengthen the problem loop by rehearsing it, like replaying a social mistake in your head for an hour. That's high-dose reps of exactly what you want to extinguish. Let me back up and explain the relapse feeling. You try a new mindset for a week, see a small win, then snap back after stress or a bad night's sleep. That's not you failing. That's a prediction system choosing the most familiar path when resources drop. The default loop has more historical reps, so under fatigue, it wins the tiebreaker. If you remember nothing else, you don't beat an old loop with a better idea. You beat it with better conditioned evidence under realistic stress. So what actually works? Behavior-first training paired with the right neurochemical state. Acetylcholine narrows focus on what matters. Norepinephrine adds urgency. And dopamine tags save this when a rep lands. That cocktail opens the gate. Dense, specific reps write the change. Sleep and retrieval lock it in. Rewiring is a 4-part sequence. Open, target, dose, consolidate. Miss any piece, and the old loop survives. Why do affirmations alone rarely move the needle? Because plasticity is activity dependent and specificity rules. If your belief is, I'm not leadership material, your circuit fires most at decision points, accountability moments, and public updates. That's the circuit you must train. Saying, I am confident, in a quiet room won't touch the neurons that panic in a meeting. You need disconfirming reps inside the situations that trigger the prediction error. Identity snapback is another trap. Self-concept is a slow average of repeated behavior. When your new actions are too sparse or too different from your history, identity yanks you back to home base. The fix isn't louder self-talk. It's frequent, visible receipts. Concrete behaviors that your nervous system can't ignore. There's also the comfort of coherence. Your brain prefers a story where everything fits, even if the story hurts. Changing a belief introduces mismatch, prediction errors, which feels uneasy. That discomfort isn't a bug, it's the update signal. Aim for stretch, not snap. Enough to engage plasticity, not so much that you flood and revert. One more nuance, context. Gains learned in one context often fail in another because the brain ties skills to cues. If you only practice calm while journaling, don't expect calm in a heated call. You'll need variability, multiple contexts, mild stress, and retrieval when you're slightly under pressure, so the new loop can generalize. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. The system listens hardest right before, during, and right after high-attention effort. Prime your state, do tightly focused, mistake-rich reps on the exact counterskill, then protect sleep. That sequence turns glimmers into grooves. So if breaks keep you stuck, let's find and release them. The breaks, What's suppressing adult plasticity? Punchline first. Your brain isn't stubborn, it's protective. Before we open plasticity, see the governors on the system. Your brain protects stability with two big levers: homeostatic control and molecular brakes. Homeostatic control is the constant balancing act between excitation and inhibition. Think traction control. When networks get too excitable, inhibitory interneurons damp them down to prevent seizures and noise. When activity drops, inhibition eases so signal can rise. Stability is the win. The cost is that big changes require bigger, more specific signals. Random, try harder, energy doesn't cut it. You need precise, high-signal training the system recognizes as meaningful. Now the molecular side. During development, circuits are flexible. Then the brain lays down scaffolding that hardens patterns that work. Two examples matter. First, perineuronal nets, mesh-like structures around fast-spiking inhibitory neurons, stabilize synapses and reduce random rewiring. Second, epigenetic closures, chemical tags on DNA and histones, make some genes less available, narrowing the menu for rapid remodeling. Add neuromodulator dampening with age. Smaller dopamine surges for novelty, less save this. Less acetylcholine precision for attention, and you've got a sturdy, conservative brain. Not broken, protective. Before you get discouraged, remember, these brakes are adjustable. They're not on-off, they're thresholds. The system asks, is this important, and is it specific? That means attention, arousal, and emotion aren't motivational fluff. They're biochemical gatekeepers. Norepinephrine sets urgency, acetylcholine marks what to learn, dopamine stamps that mattered. When those three line up around targeted behavior, adult brains change faster than most people think. Here's where most people mess up. They try to brute force change with scattered effort. Unfocused practice distributes small signals across too many circuits, never crossing threshold anywhere. That yields brittle, task-specific gains. Good in one narrow situation, absent everywhere else. Or worse, they rehearse the problem. Doom scrolling, ruminating, replaying mistakes? That's high-dose reps of the old loop, paired with strong emotion. You're literally using plasticity against yourself. What about tech? VR, apps, headsets, fun tools, not magic. Immersion beats passive exposure, but only when content, dose, and engagement are right. A beautifully rendered world with low stakes is still low signal. Conversely, a mundane setting with social stakes, a timer, and immediate feedback can spike acetylcholine, norepinephrine, and dopamine and drive durable change. Rule: content must match the target circuit. Dose must strain it. Engagement must tether attention. Let me show you how the brakes explain relapse. After a few wins, inhibition creeps up to restore balance. That's not sabotage, that's homeostasis. If you don't progressively overload, the same way you'd add weight in the gym, the system concludes, we've adapted enough, and snaps back to conserve energy. Translation: your training needs built-in progression, not eternal sameness. Another hidden break is context locking. When learning happens in a single quiet context, inhibitory tone outside that context stays high. You feel capable alone, but in meetings, your brain suppresses the new loop because the cues don't match. The antidote is deliberate variability, multiple environments, mild stressors, and retrieval under pressure to dial down inhibition across contexts. A quick word on safety. Those molecular brakes also protect neurons from oxidative stress and runaway activity. More plasticity isn't always better. Overstimulation, caffeine too late, or stacking 10 hacks can push you outside your optimal arousal band. You'll feel wired, not focused, and the brain will clamp down harder later. Guardrail: aim for engaged, not amped. Use breath to set arousal, cap high-intensity blocks, protect sleep. So, if the system asks for importance and specificity, what opens the gate? Emotional salience and novelty, delivered with clear stakes. Short immersive triggers raise acetylcholine, focus, norepinephrine, urgency, and dopamine, save this. Then precision reps tell the brain what, exactly, to change. Next move: open the window on purpose, fast, safely, and only long enough to write the update. Hack 1, open the window. Arousal, novelty, and emotion. Quick hit. If brakes are thresholds, arousal, novelty, and emotion are the keycard. When your brain senses, this matters right now, it releases a cocktail: norepinephrine for urgency, acetylcholine for precision, and dopamine for save this. That mix lowers the threshold for change. The mistake is chasing hype instead of signal. We're not aiming for jittery, we're aiming for engaged. Elevated focus with a clear target, not buzzing chaos. Emotional micro-moment. That slight edge in the chest feeling before a rep. That's plasticity turning on. Use it. Why this matters. Doing it wrong keeps you stuck. Low arousal. Low stakes practice rarely crosses threshold. High arousal with no aim just burns fuel. Done right, a brief immersion trigger makes adult learning behave more like a critical period, temporarily. That's your window. After we open it, we'll write the update with targeted reps. What opens the gate best? Emotional salience and novelty with stakes. Live interaction beats passive content because of serve and return. You signal, the environment signals back, and that reciprocity keeps acetylcholine locked on and lets dopamine tag wins. A famous infant language study showed this. Babies exposed to a live Mandarin tutor retained phoneme sensitivity. Babies watching the same tutor on a screen didn't. Adults aren't babies, but the principle holds. Real-time cues and feedback pull far more attention than passive consumption. Here's the structure I use. A 20 to 30 minute immersion trigger before the learning block. 3 elements: new, social, consequential. New means something your brain can't autopilot. Social means another nervous system is involved: coach, peer, even a well-timed accountability ping. Consequential means there's a timer, a score, or a tiny reputational stake. That trifecta drives neuromodulators without frying you. Let me show you exactly how. The 10-minute novelty sprint. Pick a micro-challenge you rarely do that shares features with your target skill. If your belief snaps in public speaking, your novelty sprint might be a fast, timed voice warm-up with tongue twisters and volume ladders, recorded and sent to a friend. If your loop is "I can't make decisions," your sprint could be a speed ranking drill. Stack 5 small items by priority in 60 seconds. 3 rounds, new items each round. The rule is speed plus feedback. Then immediately start your focus block. Serve and return matters. You say something, the world says something back. So prefer live cues, a coworker listening for clarity, a timer with a buzzer, a scoreboard, a mentor who texts rate that decision 1 to 10. Humans are wired for contingent feedback. That's why a short social stake outperforms a long solo grind at the same intensity. A quick micro-story. Researchers showed infants only learned Mandarin sounds through live interaction, not video. Adults crave novelty too, but we often default to passive. Last month, a client tried replacing his solo planning ritual with a 5-minute call your shot huddle. He declared one decision aloud to a teammate, then had 10 minutes to deliver it. Same choice, different setup. He reported the decision block felt half as hard and twice as sticky. The difference was active cues and stakes. Now pitfalls. Doom scrolling feels novel but fragments attention and usually carries no commitment or feedback that maps to your target circuit. Multitasking keeps arousal high and precision low. And low-stakes rehearsal, whispering a speech alone at midnight, rarely triggers the chemicals you need in the contexts that matter. Remember, what fires together, wires together. What fires under pressure generalizes. Let me give you a practical primer you can start today. The 3-2-1 primer. 3 minutes brisk movement. Walk stairs or shadow box to raise baseline arousal without redlining. 2 minutes of paced breathing. Inhale 4, hold 4. Exhale 6 to narrow your focus band. 1 minute of cold splash or face dunk to spike alertness and reset vagal tone. Then, immediately run a novelty sprint tied to your target skill with a timer and 1 social cue. That's your window opening. Don't waste it. Go straight into the learning block while the neuromodulators are high and attention is narrow. If you're training a belief around fear of judgment, add 1 emotional lever, a tiny public commitment. Post a 1-line intent to a private group before the block. At 12:20 I'll ship a 150-word decision summary. Small, visible stakes recruit the right chemistry without flooding you. Now, how will I know? It's working. 2 signals. You feel slightly on edge but clear, and mistakes feel informative, not threatening. That flutter isn't fear, it's your update signal. You want that stretch sensation, heightened but steady. If you notice jittery hands, racing breath, or frantic thoughts you overshot, use 1 slow exhale, twice as long as the inhale, or do 10 seconds of gentle isocods, left-right to bring arousal down. The window is a band, not a peak. Common mistakes to avoid: long, passive learning warm-ups that burn time without feedback. Emotional spikes disconnected from the skill. Arguing online doesn't help your meeting composure. Practicing calm exclusively in quiet rooms, then wondering why it fails under heat. Quick win you can try today. Before your next belief-triggering situation, run a 10-minute novelty sprint with a timer and one human cue. Then do 1 rep of the exact behavior you avoid. Send a concise decision email. Record a 60-second voice answer. Ask for a micro-commitment. Log your arousal 1 to 10 and the quality of the rep 1 to 10. Tomorrow, repeat with a new variant. You'll feel the window open faster by day 3. With the window cracked, the next move is critical. Aim it at the exact circuit you want to change. That's where precision beats willpower. Hack 2. Target the circuit. Precision over willpower. Cut to it. Once the window's open, precision decides whether you get real change or motivational noise. Most people miss this. Your belief only comes alive inside a specific sequence of cues, actions, and sensations. That's the circuit. If you don't train inside that sequence, you're strengthening the wrong network. Here's the frame. Plasticity is activity dependent and specific. So we're going to do 3 moves in order. Define the belief precisely, map the behavior it drives, and train the counter skill under the same triggers. Then we'll measure it so your brain sees proof, not pep talks. First, define the belief in its native habitat. Use this sentence. When X happens, my body does Y, my mind predicts Z, so I choose A. Keep it concrete. For example, when my manager asks for a decision, X, my chest tightens and I hold my breath, Y. My mind predicts if I speak, I'll be exposed, Z, so I stall or over-explain, A. That's a circuit, sensory cue, autonomic shift, narrative behavior. Second, map the micro-behaviors the belief drives. List the top 3 recurring actions the loop produces. In the example, hedging language, delaying deadlines, dumping context instead of deciding. Those are trainable. Third, choose the counter skill that directly contradicts the loop. Counter skills are specific behaviors, not feelings. For the leadership loop, the counter skill could be state a choice in 1 sentence, then give 2 bullet reasons, then stop. For a social rejection loop, it might be ask 1 clear preference and tolerate a no. For a perfectionism loop, ship a 70% draft within 30 minutes. Now we pair CBT with behavior. Cognitive restructuring by itself can loosen the story. Paired with a behavioral experiment, it rewires. Use a mini thought record fast. Identify the automatic thought. Rate belief -100. Generate 2 alternative possibilities. And set a tiny action that would disconfirm the original prediction. Then run the action immediately inside your open window. Example leadership case. Thought. If I decide fast, I'll miss something and look foolish. Belief rating. 80 out of 100. Alternatives. A crisp decision with 2 reasons beats a perfect monologue, and rapid iteration fixes most errors. Behavioral experiment. In the next meeting, deliver a 1-sentence decision plus 2 bullets in under 20 seconds. Then stop talking for 10 seconds. Prediction. Team will think I'm reckless. Outcome. 3 people nod, 1 question, project moves. Update. Belief drops to 55/100, new learning logged. Metrics matter because they turn vague progress into neural receipts. Track frequency, duration, and intensity. Frequency. How many disconfirming reps per day? Duration. Time spent in the counter skill state, e.g., seconds of concise speech. Intensity. 1 to 10 arousal plus 1 to 10 discomfort tolerated. Also track belief rating before and after each block. You want the graph to show your nervous system the line trending down, even if slowly. Once you nail the first rep, tighten the protocol. Use dense, focused reps. 3 to 5 rapid trials in a row inside the same cue set. Keep the loop identical, so the right neurons fire again and again. That's how you outcompete the default. You stack precision, not variety, at first. Later we'll add variability to generalize. Now here's where most people mess up. They try to change narratives without behavioral proof. Or they practice the counter skill in a vacuum, outside the trigger. If your panic shows up when a Zoom light turns red, practice under a camera, with a timer, and 1 person listening. If your avoidance spikes when someone asks thoughts, ask a colleague to prompt you with that exact phrase, then run your 1-sentence choice protocol. The closer the match, the faster the change. Use microscripts to reduce cognitive load. For decisions, we're choosing X because of Y and Z. Next step is Q. For boundaries, I'm not available for that, but I can do B by C. For fears of exposure, here's my draft. Feedback on 2 items only. Scripts aren't inauthentic. They're exoskeletons that let your nervous system practice the right movement under heat. Emotional micro-moment. When your throat tightens, finish the sentence and exhale. Feel the release as a tiny win. Dopamine tags that completion. A quick micro-story. A client's belief. I always screw up first impressions. Circuit. New call. Elevated heart rate. Scanning for flaws over talking. Counter skill. Ask one clarifying question within 30 seconds. Then mirror back in 8 words. We ran 5 timed reps with a friend on Zoom. Red light on 2-minute cycles. He logged arousal 7 out of 10, discomfort 6, outcome quality scores from his friend. By day 5, belief rating fell from 85 to 50. The difference wasn't confidence, it was conditioned evidence in the exact trigger. Guardrails. Don't let every rep succeed. You need controlled mistakes because error signals drive plasticity. If all reps feel safe and smooth, you're underdosing the circuit. Add a tiny consequence, a clock, a listener, a score. But don't flood yourself. If your arousal hits 8 or 9 and precision dies, downshift with a longer exhale and shrink the task. Finally, close each session with a 60-second proof log. Cue seen, action taken, outcome observed. Tag it green when it disconfirms the old belief, yellow when mixed, red when the old loop won. 1 sentence only. This tiny ritual is the bridge between behavior and identity. Today's data becomes tomorrow's self-concept. Once precision is locked, we'll pour on dose. Dense, high-intensity practice is next. Hack 3. High-dose, high-intensity practice. Bottom line. Once you've aimed at the right circuit, dose is what outcompetes the default. Early, dense training drives plasticity faster than scattered effort. Think of it like sprint intervals for your nervous system. Short, focused bursts, small rests, repeat. Why it works? Precise spikes across the same network create stronger, cleaner wiring than light reps spread across 10 skills. Each successful rep earns a small dopamine hit. Pair it with a log checkmark, not a party, so the tag reinforces learning without derailing focus. Here's why this matters. Your brain updates most when 3 things converge: high attention, frequent error signals, and immediate feedback. Low-dose habits rarely generate enough signal, and long, meandering sessions waste neuromodulators. So we'll compress repetition, minimize context switching, and deliberately include mistakes. The goal isn't perfection, it's informative errors under control. Use 60 to 90-minute blocks, but structure them like a ladder. Isolate a micro-skill. Do slow, accuracy-first reps to lock the pattern. Add speed with a timer. Add variability while protecting the core pattern. I call it a deep practice ladder. Start microscopic. If your counter skill is 1-sentence choice plus 2 reasons, then stop. Your first rung is just the 1-sentence choice. 10 reps, slow, no timer. You're grooving the exact cadence. Next rung, add 2 bullet reasons, still slow, still clean. Third rung, turn on a 20-second clock. Run 5 reps with the clock. Fourth rung, introduce mild variability. New topics, a different listener, a small interruption, while keeping the cadence intact. Why slow first? When you go slow with full attention, acetylcholine tags the specific synapses that need change. Then speed introduces norepinephrine, urgency, which strengthens those tagged connections. Finally, variability pushes transfer without losing the core. Once you nail that, the brain starts to prefer the new path. A quick inspiration from rehab research. High intensity, high-dose immersive training after stroke beats low-dose scattered tasks. Same principle here. Your belief loop is a motor-cognitive habit. You need immersive, targeted practice, not casual exposure. And yes, it's tiring. That's the point. You're asking the system to reallocate resources. Mind-blowing stat. Concentrated skill bursts can yield measurable gains in under a week when paired with sleep and retrieval. Let me give you a template. The 5x5x5 protocol. 5-minute sets, 5 focused reps per set, 5 cycles with short breaks. Minute -1, reset breath and visualize the exact cue. Minute 1 to 4, run 5 reps of the counter skill, each with a clear start and stop, timer visible. Minute 4 to 5, immediate feedback, self-score plus 1 external cue if possible. Take a 2-minute reset, then repeat. In 35 minutes, you'll have 25 high-quality, high attention reps inside the right trigger. Do 2 cycles of 5 by 5 by 5 with a longer break between if you've got 90 minutes. Now, how do you keep intensity without frying yourself? 2 levers, arousal band and task size. If your hands shake and words scramble, your arousal's too high. Lengthen the exhale and shrink the rep, 1 reason instead of 2. If you feel flat, add a microstake, a visible countdown, a listener, or a score you'll post to a buddy. The art is finding that edge of competence, where errors teach instead of spiral you. Common mistakes to avoid: context flooding, switching topics every rep. You want the same cue action outcome loop, then measured variability later. Infinite practice, no cap. Long sessions after performance declines, just rehearse slop. End while quality is high and you'll consolidate better. Motivation worship, waiting to feel like it. We're engineering neurochemistry, not chasing vibes. Prime, run the ladder log done. Track 3 metrics in high-dose blocks: total reps, error quality, and recovery time. Error quality means you're missing for useful reasons, not random collapse. Recovery time is how fast you return to the pattern after a stumble. You'll see those numbers improve before your subjective confidence does, which is exactly what convinces the system to update identity later. Add variability strategically on day 3 or 4. Change 1 dimension at a time. New listener but same timer, or same listener but a noisier room, or same setting but a tighter clock. This diversifies the cues tied to your new loop while preserving the core movement. That's how you avoid brittle, task-specific gains. A quick micro-story. A client working the ask for a clear preference counter skill ran 2 5 by 5 by 5 cycles daily for a week. Day 1, solo with a timer. Day 2, added a coworker. Day 3, introduced a background Slack ping. By day 7, his freeze window dropped from 5 seconds to under 1. He wasn't braver, he was conditioned. The reps under varied but controlled heat did the talking. If you're short on time, do a single 5 by 5 by 5. 25 precise reps beat an hour of vague effort. Remember, density, not duration, writes change. After the block, we'll shape state so those reps stick instead of fading.